All right, Coach. You had your home opener this past Saturday. Very decisive win against Emporia State, including 27 points in the first quarter. Just talk through what you saw from your team during the game.
Well, I mean, it was obviously you celebrate wins all the time, and we played well. Got off to a fast start. Obviously, offensively, we hit a big pass play early, and then got the interception return for a touchdown right away too. Just kind of jumped on them right away, and shoot, I think it was 20-0 before you blinked on some things, and had 2 interceptions, which turned the ball over to get those 20 points. But our offense did their job and went and scored. So, it was exciting on that part. You sit back and watch the film. We got a lot to do, a lot to work on. There's a lot of things that we need to do better and continue to clean up. But you expect that after in a week 2 game, you expect that to continue to get better. But both sides of the ball, we felt very comfortable in that game, and we executed at a high level. There's things you got to clean up. But we talked about watching the film yesterday and not feeling great about some of the stuff, but 2-0 feels better than last year at 0-2, and not playing well. So we can continue to get better as we will as a football team. But I think offensively, felt like we left some points on the field. We had the fumble through the end zone that was basically on the 1-inch line on that. Then we fumbled again going in with Dishler trying to hurdle the guy on stuff like that. We got to probably clean that up a little bit. But we felt like we left some points off the board, and it was a decisive win. But at the same time, we felt like we definitely can clean things up and play better.
What impressed you most about your team's response following Braden's injury and how you were able to keep the momentum going the whole game?
Yeah, it's next man up. It really is. And obviously, I'm not saying that to be insensitive towards Braden. Braden's a competitor and he's a stud for us. And but Braden would be the first one to tell you, it's the next man up. And I felt like our guys were just mature. We got a mature group. The stats may not say that in the penalties on that, but if you take a look at the penalties, I was blown away. There was 25 penalties thrown in that game between the 2 teams, and apparently that happens with bottom half teams, right? That happens with teams that aren't very disciplined and that kind of stuff. So 25 with 2 really good football teams is crazy. But we'll get some things cleaned up, like I said, in that part, and hopefully I'll just leave it at that and move on from there. But I'm proud of our guys the way we responded. But it's the next man up. Caden Smith is a very valuable football player on our team. Aiden Arp will step in and be a guy that can do things for us as well as a backup quarterback move when he was the 3 going in. But Caden's special. He is. I mean, he's the best athlete on our team overall. And so I'm not surprised what he did when he went in there and played. I'm not. I mean, there's things that he's going to continue to get better and better, getting more reps in practice and that kind of stuff. Now, I think the hardest position to play at any college level is the backup and the 3rd quarterback, because they don't get a ton of reps in practice anymore. That's the way how things practice. But we're excited about Caden and going, and we'll be praying for Braden and kind of see how that goes moving forward.
And going back in time to the start of the game, you scored 20 points right out of the game in the first few minutes, I guess, 2 or 3 minutes, however long it was. So how were you able to set the tone so quickly?
Well, I think we just went out and executed what we planned. We knew what they did offensively, and they were a hurry up, and they're going to have yards. It's like this week we play Eastern, and they're going to have yards rushing. They run the ball 70 times a game. Emporia's going to throw it 70 times a game. So you can't take away everything, but you can scheme up certain things you got. They like to throw a screen in the boundary on after first downs, and we saw that and had a plan for it. And they came out and got a first down, went screen in the boundary, and we intercepted for a touchdown because our kids are prepared and our kids understand philosophies of what we're trying to get done and schemes and stuff. So, I'm just proud of them, and what they did. Braden hit Corey for the first touchdown over the top. That's something we had seen with them in play action and run support things. So our guys just executed at a high level, and throughout that first quarter, it got sloppier as the game went on. But throughout that first quarter, it was kind of one of those situations where things go right, and we capitalized on it.
And looking ahead, you have another road matchup at Eastern New Mexico. Just what can we expect in this matchup?
No, probably exact opposite offensive scheme that we're going to face. They're going to hand the ball off a ton. Coach Kelly Lee, he does a great job up there. He plays. I always tell him, he's a friend of mine. I always tell him, like, your kids play harder than anybody that we see all year, and that's a compliment to him because he gets his guys ready to play. So our hands will be full going up there and adjusting, traveling to Portales, and we're going to stay in Clovis and do all that. So it'll be a great road trip on that part. It's not a terrible long trip, but our hands will be full with those guys, and you got to get off the field. You got to be good on first down. You got to be good on third down defensively, and then offensively when you get the ball, because you're going to be limited to how many possessions you're going to get throughout the game because they're going to eat the clock some. You got to take advantage of your possessions. So it's always a great game with us in Eastern New Mexico, and I don't expect anything different.
Coach, on defense, you had another week where the defense pretty much dominated in the first part of the game, and it kind of carried you all through the end of it. 2 games under your belt now where you've had two big wins. Can you start to see the defense shaping up as one of the premier defenses that you've coached again?
I think so. I think traditionally we've been good here defensively on a lot of things. We've been good here offensively too. The questions about defense, these guys, there's not a lot of transfers in the room in the sense that are just stepping in and playing a ton. It's guys that have been in the program at least 1 or 2 years. So you look at the development they've had over the time, and it's so exciting to watch. The Nate Morcombs and the Alex Blubases and those guys just stepping in and doing stuff. Trey Liger and just all the guys that we have, stepping in and playing really good football. It's awesome. I mean, and we got great depth across the board. We feel like we can rotate guys in on defense, and it's exciting. But yeah, this group can continue to improve too. That's the other thing. They're earning and learning through their game reps, and a lot of them are limited in the amount of game reps they've had. So I anticipate us getting better on defense as we go, throughout, but excited where we're at, but the potential is there, to say the least. And one thing I'll say about Saturday's game too, being at home, our fan support was awesome. I mean, it was loud. The band played nonstop. I loved it. I wore my shirt today, Ram Mob, right? That's awesome. Those guys were wonderful in the student section on their side. It was loud. They had a lot of 15-yard penalties and 5-yard penalties for false starts and different things like that. And I think that the atmosphere played a huge part of that too. So, and that helps the defense quite a bit when you got guys, you got people that are helping from the outside too.
And Coach, with the prevalence of the spread just across the board nowadays, how hard is it just having to break everything back down and have to prepare for a team like Eastern New Mexico with the triple option? It's
definitely hard. The good thing is we've seen them. We've played them every year, -2 when Coach Lee left there for a little bit, and now he's back. I always told him when he came back, I'm like, man, I wish he would have stayed in the high school game and stayed doing it there. But it's hard to do it. But the good thing is, we see it. We don't just practice it 1 week. We practice it in the spring. We practice it in fall camp. We spend time in individual and unit periods on defense to practice our schemes against stop and triple options. So, a lot of teams that don't see it very much and don't have it in their conference play them as a non-conference game. That's a lot tougher because you're not practicing it throughout the year. You have to practice it throughout the year, and that's something we believe in. But yeah, there's no doubt. I really wish we played a team like flipped them, right? Emporia first, Hayes second, who ran the ball quite a bit. And now you're playing another run team. But when you go from 70 pass to probably 70 runs next Saturday, it's a challenge. And
then on offense, your rushing attack has pretty much become a running back guy by committee type of situation. How great is that, having that kind of depth where you can just hand the ball off to pretty much anybody back there and that they're going to get you those 3 to 5 yards?
Yeah, I love it. And I know Coach Kilmer does too. He gets those guys ready to play. We can hand the ball, like you said, to several different people. I mean, our 4th running back right now, you guys haven't seen yet. And at the end of the day, he's a really good football player too. And we'll see if we can get him some reps moving forward too. But man, I'm excited about it. We're built that way. We're built to, be able to do both, run and pass the ball. And having those guys back there, I think we plan to play a long season every year. We want to play deep in the playoffs and do that. To do so, you got to be healthy to be successful. So, having a stable running back, so to speak, to be able to split up the reps and give different guys the football and keep people fresh is good. And the neat thing about that room is they don't care. They just, when it's their turn, they're going to go play hard. If they get the ball, great. If they're going to block, they're going to block. And that group is very unselfish, and we're definitely spoiled to have them all here.
Coach, talk to me about a key takeaway from last week's press conference that this is going to be a good matchup to see what conference play could look like defensively, because air raid offense, a new wave of air raid coaches coming in conference. Yeah. How do you think the defense maybe met your expectations? What were you expecting? Do you think they did their job? What was your thoughts based on that side?
I think result, yeah, we met the expectation, on that part of it. But execution, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, we were pretty basic in this air raid this week because most of it was just perimeter game stuff, a lot of slants and a lot of screens and stuff like that, now throws and hitches. When you start getting into the teams that are running the vertical concepts and that kind of stuff, that's where you got to get more and more in depth of what you're doing. Even the long touchdown they hit Saturday against us at the end, I mean, that was a 5-yard slant route and just went and we didn't tackle it. So, it wasn't like elaborate schemes vertically that we were concerned about. It was more so coming up and tackling. I think as we move forward farther along in conference, you're definitely going to have more schemes that are vertically pushed and challenge you that way. So we'll have to have several different checks and different things, but the execution's got to be better.
And then you already touched on it a couple of times, but I want to see from a coaching perspective, what's it like having to prepare for heavy run, heavy pass, heavy run, heavy pass?
Yeah, and just welcome to the Lone Star Conference and what you get. And then also playing really good non-conference teams. I mean, Emporia State's a good football team. They're physical out of it. So, it's just the neat thing about it is we at Angelo State on offense do all that, right? We run the ball, we throw the ball, so we get to practice against it all the time, both run and pass. So that definitely prepares the defense, but it prepares an offense. Our offense, if teams want to come up and roll an extra safety down to stop the run, well, okay, and have a good time covering the guys that we got on the edge and with one high safety and stuff like that. So, I think how we practice against each other and the schemes that both our coordinators put together week to week, and as a program as a whole, we're tough to defend and we're tough to go score a bunch of points on. So it's exciting on that part. We'll just whoever they put in front of us, we'll continue to play and go. But yeah, no doubt, I think the program sets itself up for success out of that. If teams are going to line up and just throw it or just run it all the time, traditionally you feel pretty good as a defensive coach to take one thing out of the picture and just focus on the other. You feel pretty good.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.